And welcome to another edition of Harbinger. Well, before we go any further, before we go live, how you been? How's your week been, Daniel?
I'm doing great. My week has been excellent. I've accomplished a lot. How was your week?
My week's been fantastic, dude. And I said before, I think not only one of the great things about the times we live in, but one of the things that I really enjoyed about this week is that turn from spring to summer over in this part of the world. And I think it kind of very much synergizes where we are with our projects. They're just starting to sort of that whole beautiful thing where they're starting to spring out into life. So yeah, I love this time of year, man. It's a great time of year. It's been a great week, and as we were saying before we went live, there's a lot of work going on that people don't know about, but that's what I think is really exciting. It's one of those exciting but frustrating parts of being a creative person. Whenever you're building something, you have so much you want to tell people, but so little you can tell people for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's been my week over and all, man. Well, one of the things I before we do go on to sort of like the usual altcoin prices and stuff like that, I think it's one of the things that's been kind of a hot topic this week, and we were discussing it obviously previously before we went live, was the whole decision this weekend with the whole Bitcoin in America and what we think is going to happen. Now, I was just telling you before we went live, I personally think we're going to see a lot of pumping this week. And I think anyone that actually thinks the decision is going to be known clearly on Friday is living in a cloud cuckoo land, because I think it's happening on the weekend. So I personally think it's going to be next Monday before we know anything. And I personally, my own personal opinion, I think it's just going to be another delay situation. So I just be interesting to see what your thoughts on the whole of that situation and how you think it's going to affect the Bitcoin price over the next sort of 7 days.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the ETF decision has been and continues to affect the Bitcoin price. And like you said, I think the price will keep rising and wobbling until Friday. And I think that regardless of whether they approve or disapprove of the ETF, what's going on with the price is just giving an indication of where this thing will go, just on a pure speculation of a whole group of people now being able to enter Bitcoin. Now, if they allow this ETF, wow, that's going to now permit a whole new world of people capable of investing in Bitcoin. That's amazing. Now, there could also be a lot of people selling at these prices, taking huge profits for making nearly 4 times their money. And if we hit two prices of 2,000, people are taking profits of 5 to 10 times over the course of the last year. So, that just means that it's not going to go straight up like a rocket. But that isn't to say that I do still anticipate that Bitcoin will rise to $10,000 a coin over the next couple of years. So yeah, that's my take on it. And I think the ETF is just a way. There's a group of people who believe that the Bitcoin price will continue to rise, and they need a vehicle to do that with. They need some way to ride this wave. That's the ETF. I think it's going to get approved, but we'll see. Like I said, it doesn't make a difference. It's still going to rise.
Yeah, but I think we're both in agreement. So over the next 7 days, I think we're going to see a lot of pumping of Bitcoin. I think we're going to see it wouldn't surprise me to see it almost hitting 1,700, 1,800 by the end of the week. That's just, I'm putting my finger out in the air and making a call, but I think you're right. I think the long-term projection for Bitcoin is on a upward projection. Now, on the price on the other altcoins, Daniel, was there anything particular you want to report this week?
Yeah, absolutely. From last week, we talked about Blocknet. If you remember, we talked about those block coins. Well, they went up 5 times since last week. They're up 500%. So if anybody was watching last week and looked at that project and took it seriously, they're sitting on a nice, handsome profit right now. That's Blocknet. And what's driving the price of Blocknet right now is that they're launching their platform. They're a decentralized exchange between different blockchains. So, like for example, if you're on Bitcoin, you could trade a Litecoin for a Bitcoin without going to a centralized exchange, which has never happened before. They're going to compete with services like Shapeshift. So that's a big volume market, and if you own some of the blocks, you know some of this block coin, you get the fees from people trading. So there's you need 5,000 of these coins to run a node, and if you have a node, you can get the fees. That's how it works. So 5,000 coins right now is about $1,000. So yeah, versus $200 a week ago, and people will try to get them. So yeah, if it's interesting to you and you read about it and you want to take the risk, you know, you can put 1,000 and you can now have a full node and support the network and earn the fees. I think it's pretty cheap, $1,000 to now have eternal income. But we'll see how things go with that project, how they progress, and yeah, I'm glad to report about it. There's some good people building it. Now, yeah.
Go on, carry on.
No, I was just going to move on to the next coin. I wanted to talk about SafeExchange coin in particular because the price since last week has been pretty stable, but there's been a lot of like, how can I say this? The best way is, I'm like recalling events, is that people, someone was trying to sell SafeExchange coin like 28 million or something like that, and I saw, or like 30 million or some 30 million coins, about 1.5%, and I saw how somebody just snatched up 9 million of them right on the spot. So buy orders have increased drastically, like very significant increase in buy orders, and you know, it's like percolating. It's looking great. Yeah. So that's SafeExchange coin, and then the last coin I wanted to discuss was Dash. So Dash is a coin that reached rank number 3, just behind Ethereum, and it reached a market cap of 411 million bucks. And that's, in 1 week, it's doubled its market cap, but not any small amount. It's doubled 200 million in value. It's pretty significant. So it's very interesting how, you know, this coin could just multiply like that. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of people were expecting it to go down, and those people get lost. They have to lose, so they have to buy back higher, and that's what could drive prices higher. So, you know, it's not really people buying it per se, but it's people being forced into buying it because they bet against it. You see how that works? Yeah. So if they bet against it, they have to buy it back. So yeah, but it doesn't matter. It still caused the price to rise. So yeah, Dash is now commanding a massive market capitalization. Yeah, that's a good recap of the coins over the last 7 days. And Bitcoin, of course, is sitting at 1,270, and that's up like 10% since a week ago, which is awesome. Yeah.
Okay, on these very points, Daniel, I just I wanted to sort of linger on something, and I hear your sort of thoughts and queries, and you know what your just your general insights on this very question. Now, for people, you can obviously judge any coin, altcoin, cryptocurrency, etc., by the market caps. You can go and follow them on what they're doing, the trade and stuff like that. That outside of that tool, on a wider level, is there anything else you particularly look for? Because I know you've got very much an insightful view on this. Is there anything outside of just looking on exchanges that you look at some of these altcoins and think, okay, right now that for instance, you mentioned Blocknet. I mean, that maybe have a look. You can view it maybe on some exchanges, but outside of the exchanges, what would you say are the best tools to look at things? I mean, for instance, there's so many coins, and it's just more of that roundabout view. So yeah, I'd love to hear your insights.
Yeah, what I do is I go on Twitter, and in the search bar, I type the dollar sign and the symbol for the coin. Like usually if there's a coin that has any kind of social social networking at all. It'll be talked about on Twitter. So like you could type $SEC and you can find things about Save Usage Coin. You could type in $block and you'll find things about Blocknet. That's one of the things I look at. I look at what are other traders doing about a coin. And the coins that you don't really hear much about, those are the ones that might be being accumulated, because most people go promoting the coin. Like most people, what I'm trying to say is not most people. What I'm trying to say is more specifically, most traders are promoting a coin at the time when they're ready to sell it. So until they're ready to sell it, they're going to keep it under wraps. Blocknet happened to be one of those coins. Low price. It raised funds. It raised like $1 million in funds, and it's been under development for 3 years. And they're about to release some software. And if you ask the developer directly, he'll tell you. You see, so like these are the kinds of things. Like, is there an active developer? Is there a community? Can I talk to people about it, and will they tell me what this project is? Those are the factors really that come out of it. Blocknet happened to be one of those things. Like I even met some people in person who told me about Blocknet. So that really made a huge difference before I put some of my own coin in, before I talked about it at all. So yeah, like, check the Twitter. Like, that's a nice trick. Check on coinmarketcap.com. You can see the website. You can see the discussion board if they have one. You can go on Reddit. You can Google some things about a coin. And it just comes down to if they have an active developer and you can speak to him directly or her. That pretty much sums it up. And then you see if the price is reasonable and you think it's going to rise, then you figure it out.
Exactly, Dan. And I think what's in common with it goes beyond altcoins and into anything creative generally. I think you've hit the nail right on the head there. It's basically to escape the echo chambers. And I think one of the great things to do, and I do this with every project, and how I fly the flag many times, I think, is to go and maybe it's time to go and look at the criticism and see what people from the other side are saying and think, okay, is that valid, or are they just being, for want of a better word, haters? And I think that's all very good things. And then I think one of the things, that's why I think it's very much in common with any project you should see in life. And I think you hit the nail properly on the head. And I think it's one of the things that fails, and I judge a lot of projects by, is how, like you said, how personable. How is there somebody I can contact? Is there somebody at the other end, or am I just going to be put into a loop of just on a series of yes, no answers from a computer? And I think if you can have the human touch, and I think this is really important. I think it's one of the things that I generally, my personal one, I think a lot of the tech world has it wrong, because they have a lot of idea about going out and putting shiny presentations out and talking about their projects. They get really, high inflated, they exponentially rise, and then people go, well, actually, the product isn't that great. So I think there's a balance. And this is what I'm trying to say to people. I think same in the crypto world. You see a lot of projects that talk a lot of games. They say this, that, and the other, have a really big thing, and you go to their Twitter account and there's nothing there, or you go to any social media and there's nothing there. But in one little echo chamber, they're huge. So I always say to people, try to step out of an echo chamber and see what it is in the outside world. And I think if they're leaving as many traces in many places, I think that's a really good sign, because you think they're doing more than just trying to focus on one little crowd.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is you can ask people their opinions, and not always will they have an accurate opinion. So, but sometimes they do have an accurate opinion. So there's no real, like, how are you gonna know if you're gonna make money off of a trade? That you won't know. You can't. I don't want to say hope, but you can calculate as much as you can. And and literally place your bets. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Because I don't know, maybe Blocknet developer can just disappear tomorrow, and your bets would be lost. You see what I mean? So always put what you can afford. If you really believe in something, get what's sufficient. Always calculate what you would need. So that's for sure.
Exactly what you're speaking of there is the complete essence of life itself. You like you say, if you put your money on 10 projects, expect none of them to fail. That's the means of things. But one of the things why I think this is a relevant conversation is, and I said this before, we're at an unbelievable time in this, us as a species, where right now the whole, as when we talk about Harbinger, you talk about the safe exchange. We're sailing into new worlds. I talk about when we made 99 about creating a new paradigm. This is immensely exciting times, and I think this is where these questions are really relevant, because we're going to live we're in a very short window, and if people make the right decisions right now, it could affect their whole lives. And we've only got a short window, and I'm talking about decentralization. This is what I say. All these new opportunities. It's a whole new landscape. There's opportunities for everything. And this is what I'm trying to say to people. They look at the world right now. This is such an exciting time, because there's so many areas, and we discuss it many times in private, my friend. But there's so many areas that people aren't even looking at. There's areas that you think, okay, how's the new world? Have we got ability to solve that? No. Okay, somebody better be building that. And this is what the opportunities are there for right now, like never before. And this is why I think we have these discussions. But I think it's really relevant for people to look at these decisions with clear eyes, because as we've known from any boom cycle in the past, people always got, I saw it in the 80s, people got deluded by short-term visions and people just promising the world. And then everyone missed out with the real winners. And that, do you know what I mean? So it's having that wisdom and insight is only good for everybody, because I think it makes people like us on the other side who are building projects, it makes us sharper and more efficient.
Yeah, I think that the blockchain, let's call it I don't want to call it a boom. I think we're far from the boom yet. But if you compare it to the .com era, people were going nuts about websites because they were kind of archaic. There's no online tutorial how to build a website. You kind of had to figure it out from a book or from someone who already does it, or come up with your own method. But people made a website and it's considered valuable. But most of those websites, they never did anything significant, or they had business models that didn't make any sense. It's different in the blockchain world. I think that what people are producing is far from just a website. So, it's not simple. They're not easy programs to build, these blockchain stuff. Of course, you can use those build your own blockchain, but they have no significant features. And you could attest those to being just a regular website. There's a lot of regular websites today, like WordPress websites and Wix.com websites, those website generators. Squarespace, they make a website for you. Any average Joe can just make a website. But they won't do anything significant. They will portray information elegantly and allow you to go to a domain name. Now, in the world of blockchains, there's also those build your own cryptocurrency, let's say, kits. But they also don't do anything special or new. And so back to the analogy of a website, there are websites today that do phenomenal things that are far different than just showing information. Some of those websites are like Google, Facebook, Twitter, even smaller websites like SoundCloud does something interesting. Minds.com does something interesting for the people. They're providing, eBay.com. These are all websites that do something very intricate and cannot be accomplished with just some out-of-the-box build-your-own website. And those websites that I just mentioned have value. People are contributing to their existence by paying their fees. And so blockchains are the same way. You can fork some old piece of software, but you won't really improve that software. unless you rebuild it or implement it a different way. So to say that you can just launch cryptocurrency, yes, you can sell it for a few $1,000 and some unsuspecting people hoping to win a massive sum will put a Bitcoin on there, or two or three. And the market cap will not exceed $50,000. There's thousands of coins this way. However, there's a lot of special projects also being produced, such as Ethereum, such as Dash, such as Omni, such as Safe Exchange, Chille, Blocknet, some other coins coming out, such as Gnosis, which is a prediction market. These are interesting projects. N99. You see, these are fulfilling and creating sophisticated and intricate mechanisms for allowing people to use these programs and these applications. So it's to say, like, you have to literally differentiate what's a project that's like just a out-of-the-box website and what's a project that's really changing the world and doing something completely different, unlike just showing information like an out-of-the-box website. And yeah.
No, exactly, Daniel. This is what I've always said. It's like this is when you really you divide the people. You can see those who are the real visionaries. It's the people in the back in the days of black and white TV that saw VHS and Betamax, and then eventually saw where that was all digitization. It's what we can do in the new world. And this is one of the things that I think you're absolutely right. It's how I judge every one of my projects. I don't think, okay, what's it going to be like in maybe a short term scenario. I think what's the generic thing it's offering to humanity. And this is one of the things that I've stepped into with 1999. It's like, okay, look, people need creativity. It's got us to where we need to. But at the moment, there's too many barriers. There's too many problems. And you talk to me, you only got to get 10 creative people in a room together, and they'll all be singing off the same page and saying the amount of frustrations they get. You think, okay, that's down to systems that are old and now we're seeing the new one. And this is what I'm trying to say is that I think so many people I don't see in the world, and I think you said before in public that the amount of people that are really can envision what's going to happen and are actually implementing ideas that are going to base on that rather than just a short-term one, I think is very small. And that's why I think that some of these, if you do back some of these people and you look behind them and follow the steps that you said and the advice that we've spoken on tonight, you always sort of think, well, the opportunities really are almost unmeasurable, really, because if they do get it right, it's simple. I mean, it's always said about the safe exchange. People are always going to need to trade. People are always going to want creativity. People are always going to want certain things. You know what I mean? And once the projects, as you said, who are got that fundamentally understand what part of the human condition they're fulfilling, the ones that I've.
There's another really super important thing I need to mention is when we look at like CoinMarketCap, we see a lot of coins, and some coins are appealing to the incumbent Bitcoin holders. Let's put it this way, right? People who were participating in Bitcoin from the start. However, not just because that group is supporting a coin doesn't mean it's a good coin. And just because it's commanding a high valuation, for example, you can look on a top 100 coins and you'll find maybe half of them don't have a working product, you see? And yet they're still commanding valuations of more than $2 million, you see? So that's one of the points. And in the second place, the people could be supporting a project who have never participated in Bitcoin before. You see what I mean? So it could be, a project could be more important than any incumbent project, because whatever people are myopically, set on, they might be missing the whole point that there's a whole universe of people who would now be interested and introduced into cryptocurrency because of a certain particular project. And I think about like N99 and the musicians who may have never had an interest in Bitcoin, but now will have an interest in cryptocurrency. And then I think about how anonymous trading could have an impact with the Sei exchange and the Chille blockchain, can have an impact on the people all around the world who would be interested in cryptocurrency if it had the features that they are interested in. Like, for example, when people use a bank account, only the government really seeing their information. Now, when they're using Bitcoin, everybody's seeing their information. So they need some kind of anonymous mechanism for sending and receiving money. So people might say, well, there's already Dash, there's Monero, there's all these other anonymous coins. Now, yeah, that's fine. But when they log into a website to make a purchase or a sale with those anonymous coins, they're not anonymous anymore. Why? Because that exchange service that they're using is not anonymous. So their identity is lost to them, to the service provider. So what do people need? The people need that coins features plus a marketplace. So this fulfills a total loop where people don't need to go outside of the system. That's far advantageous than any currently existing system. And I know for a fact that there's nobody who is building something remotely like this at this time. And very simply because when I mentioned it to many people over the last couple of weeks, because I've been doing many meetings, that there's nothing like this existing right now, and it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, Daniel, I love to use the example, and you know, there was a quote made by an American scientist in the 50s, and when he was asked to project, you know, what would life be like in the 1990s, and you know, asked around computing, he said, in the most optimistic scenario, maybe every city will have one computer. And the idea that this is exactly the same with what you've just described then, is that the idea that where we are right now, what I'm trying to say is that there's so many things that people, like you said, it won't be the fact of one computer because they see it in, you know, the fact that everything's really centralized. It's going to be when everyone swaps the other way around. And this is one of the things that I think, like you just said before, because I think is absolutely key to the whole of how everything's going to change. The reason there's not just one computer per every city, and everyone's got a laptop and a phone, is because certain people got hold of it and they made it for every reason. It became cheaper and all the rest of it. But it was certain people follow. It's that you know, that's what I always said before. You spoke upon it with N99. You know, I speak to the creative people, and I know, okay, they're not got no interest in cryptocurrency. They're just creative people, but you get them in, then they pull their audience in, and it's like everything else. And before you know it, we're not just having one computer in a city. Everybody's got laptops because that's the demand. And this is the thing that I don't think people really need to really get their heads around, is that everything is about to change. And that means everything. And I think people are just thinking, just on the idea that everyone's just talking about, you know, coins and, you know, short-term value. That to me is a scenario like trying to make your money in a short-term way. If you look at it, really where things are going to go, this is what I was trying to say. And you know, that's why I've flown the flag in public for your project for a long time, my friend, because it's just, that's what I'm saying. You saw what was coming, fulfilled that human, what was going to be there, and that's how things happen. And I think there's so many people right now, I still think, looking in the world, and I think are very doomtastic about it all, and they think it's all going to take 10, 15 years. And I personally don't think it's going to be that long at all, because I think it's something you spoke upon, is that you see it with music, and you see it like, you know, I'm always using the analogy, my friend. You know, I remember in 1994, beginning of the year, everyone was into Britpop and walking around like, you know, like some hippie. By the end of the year, everyone was looking like a grunge, and it happened that quick. And movements happened that quick. Rap happened that quick. Nature itself happens that quick. And I think it's something you spoke upon so eruditely, that what we're experiencing right now it's going to happen. It's happening right now. This is the new renaissance we're living through right now, and it's for people to grab it. And it's when you see people grabbing it, and you use the logic that you just said, hey, then we can literally, this is what the greatest thing that human beings have ever had in their lifetimes, and as a species.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're only on the brink of all this stuff. I mean, if you want to count the scoreboard in terms of market cap, this whole ecosystem is just going to continue to rise. It's just the beginning. And I made a comment. I read some post, some article the other day, and it's saying like the top 10 coins by market cap between in 2013. Litecoin was worth $1 billion. Its market cap was $1 billion, and today Ethereum is $1 billion. And there were other coins like Purecoin. I never even heard of Purecoin anymore. And Purecoin was worth $150 million in a market cap. Namecoin was $73 million. You see, these coins, Purecoin and Namecoin. Namecoin is worth $5 million, like 14 times less today. Purecoin is worth $11 million. It's 90% down. So what I'm just trying to say is like, whatever you see right now doesn't mean anything. You see, like, whatever you see on the board right now, the way the world will change. I mean, 4 years is not a lot of time, and the way these coins change position is phenomenal. So I'm just saying, like, a lot of things we're gonna see that we never seen coming, like, and some of the things that we were expecting will come to pass. See, so I just think that anybody who, like I said, when you asked me what do I do to evaluate if I'm going to put any coin on a project, is see who's the developer, how much time they're putting on it, what are they really fighting for with regard to that coin, is it going to happen? Those are the things that matter. Is it within reality? That's another thing. There's a big thing to know if something is even possible with physical reality. So how can you know? I mean, you need to just trust if you're not a developer yourself. And then you have to evaluate, is that developer smarter than you are to know, if they know something you don't know. So, but yeah, that isn't to say, like, if it's within reality and people are interested and people are going to use it, and it's like you're saying, people are always going to eat, people are always going to be creative, you fulfill the demands of the people. And that's what's driving the coins. A little bit of a lot of speculation right now, but over time, like, consider those coins I just said that, Purecoin, Litecoin, they're all collapsing 80%, 90%. Why? Because they're driven by speculation. But when you have real sales, when people who really need what you're making are buying, then it's just a smooth trend going up. That's just how it goes. So, it's better the speculators get out and get out as fast as they can. And if you're a speculator, have fun. It's just the way it works.
I mean, Daniel, I think this, it's absolutely, it's not unique to what you just spoke. I mean, everything when you were just saying that, I'm thinking that's exactly the same with any musician, any artist, and it's exactly the same. The bands that I know that are still playing in front of, like, doing whatever they want to do, basically, whether it's they're playing in front of 25,000 or they want to go and play a little club. They're the bands who, from the very beginning, exactly what you said. It's step by step by step by step. Other bands came along, got huge, great big, one-off hits, and then you don't even know who they are. Now, okay, yes, that's life. But the ones, that's what I'm saying, it's the step by step by step ones you watch. Same with artists, same with everything else. And that's why you have to use the logic that we've discussed tonight to look at those people. And I think you're absolutely, what we just said perfectly, is work out what need are they fulfilling in the human condition, because we're not going to change. We're still humans. I mean, let's be real, dude. I mean, we've maybe leveraged that little percentage that we've got between us and bonobo, but man, there's not much more we can leverage out of it. It's still the human trait, and that's what I'm saying. So many people, they fulfill that greed element and the speculation, Same with a band. They won't think, oh, you know, I'll go and jump on the back of a band of a one-hit wonder. But they're not going to be fulfilled. They're not. It's like taking a quick sugar into your body. You know, you've got to go for this is the wisdom that I think people should use, because I think it's really important. I think why it's insistent that they spoke on, because we're not just talking about ideas. This is, if people can grab this, there's great opportunities to can be made. If they're going to be fooled by it, they're going to be losers, and that's what I'm saying. We've seen this in human history, and I think it's that clarity that we need to speak upon, because this is what's going to make people in the future either break or make in the new world. And I always say there's so much potential there. There's so much for people to jump aboard about. There's so much that it's going to shift in such a quick time that if you don't forget your logic. I mean, that's the whole thing. Don't get carried away in the circus. You always keep your mind. It's one of the things that we and you have spoken about all the time. We've got logic for a reason. Use it.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I covered all the points I wanted to discuss tonight.
Well, perfect, Danny. Well, but like I say, well, I'm going to play out, and I tell you what I'm going to play out with. It was it's a brand new track that's been released this week by a gentleman called Adeyemi from America. So while I cue that up, my friend, and I play that, is there, you know, while I'm doing that, maybe just wrap this whole conversation up and any kind of passing thoughts you maybe have on the whole of tonight's conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of value in all of the cryptocurrencies. In particular, the ones that we're supporting. Why? Because we're accessible. We have a vision and we're pursuing that vision, and there's nothing standing in our way. And I think that by identifying people such as ourselves in other projects, you can evaluate that project will do something. It will go somewhere. So yeah, just that.
One hit got me feeling right. 2 hits, I be outside. 3 hits, that's a good night. I done struck out and that's first good. Exhale it through the windpipe. No niggas with the halfway. Get them facts right. Hit like a bat when I recite. They forget that crack pipe cause it's slime tight and that burst right. Grind out, it's a new height. Niggas mean, but I'm king of nights. One to gamble, to roll dice. Or to live once, don't think twice. Chopping up the beat with a mean slice. Not to kill it, don't seem right. Cause war, smoke the peace pipe. Bring a G if you ain't got a piece right. Bars hot, flows on nice. Staying up through them late nights. Creeper baby, I will bite. Better walk under them street lights. That's for your man, he can sleep tight. Cause I'm aiming at him. That's one hit to the brain right. Oh, that's what we gotta say. 3 hits to the night. I done struck out and that's 3 strikes. Names out of Yemi and I be the realest. Fuck what these fuck niggas feeling. Hands to the ceiling. On the beat making a killing. And if it ain't blood I be spilling. My bitch I be drilling. Hand me the button I'm lifted. Hand me the mic and I'm gifted. Don't test me I'm tempted. To this some nature existence. No case nobody no witness. You think that vicious. While I be ripping rocks like they be pigeons. Cause my work is finished. Nigga this my work is finished. And this how your boy steady living. Cannot get the witness. Cause I be catching the spirit. You wanna come get it. It's see that I'm spitting. I'll fill on my written. These verses I'm ripping. Your boy is not slipping. Your boy is a pimp even though we ain't living. I'm MJ, I'm Jordan, I'm rhyming, I'm pimping. My lines be the purest, I'm serving, I'm flipping. Got making soda, so now I'm remixing the weight every day cause I push to the limit. Kissing the heat, get the fuck out the kitchen. Taking what's my nigga, fuck your permission. Do what I do, nigga, fuck opposition. You with it or not, take the position. That's one hit to the break right. 2 hits to be afraid. 3 hits to the good night. I'm straight out with 3 breaks.
Yeah, before we sign off, I just wanted to mention, if anybody has some coin they want to discuss or talk about, or if anybody has some music track they want to talk about, feel free to contact myself. You can see my Twitter link in the description of the video. Contact Tim. You can see his Twitter link in the contact of the video. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us and give us some comments or comment in the video below. Just Let us know what you want to talk about, if there's something you wanted us to cover. Cool. See you later.